This is the new Ford Explorer Electric for the European market, and it's built on Volkswagen's own MEB platform, borrowed by Ford in this case. But can it outbeat Volkswagen's own ID.4? That's what I'm going to test today. I'm going to test the actual range and consumption, acceleration, cabin noise, and charging. Welcome to It's Only Electric. Let's start. This is the long-range rear-wheel drive premium version, delivering 286 horsepower and 545 Newton meters of torque here at the rear axle. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 6.4 seconds. Top speed 180 kilometers per hour. It has the big battery pack since it's the long-range version, but not the biggest, because the four-wheel drive car has a slightly bigger and updated battery pack. So gross capacity 82 kilowatt hours, net capacity 77. The range spans up to 602 kilometers, but that's if you don't go for the premium version, since the premium version has bigger rims, 20-inch instead of 19. The range falls down to 572 kilometers. It's a staggered setup, so 255s at the back, 235s at the front, Continental Eco Contact 6. Charging, charge port placed here at the right rear side of the car with a DC fast charging speed of 135 kilowatts. That's rather disappointing, but they are promising a flat charge curve, so 10 to 80% should take around 26 minutes. We're gonna test that, so stay tuned. When it comes to home charging, 3-phase support, 11 kilowatts. I think that's all the important facts for this test. It's time to see if we can match them. Let's start with the range and consumption test. Let us briefly talk about the self-driving functionality or the driver assist systems in the Ford Explorer. If you're used to Ford's own systems like the Blue Cruise from the Mach-E or the F-150, forget that. If you're used to that software, it doesn't work the same way, because this car is built on the Volkswagen MEB platform. That means that the software, the self-driving capabilities also are delivered by Volkswagen in this case. So if you're used to Volkswagen, then you will feel really at home. But it has a great function. It has a great driver assist function. Works good. It is stable as all other ID cars. This one works the same way, and I like the system. It's stable. It's you can trust it. Let me express it that way. And you activate the LCC or driver assist function by pressing the set button here on the left, because this Explorer, the premium one, has all the possible self-driving capabilities included in that package. So if I press set here, it activates, and now it drives on its own. Very easy and works all the time. That, by the way, is the European speed limit warning, regulated for all the European countries from 2024 and onwards, meaning that it beeps if you go a bit too fast. So the speed limit is set to 80. If I drive 83, it will start beeping within 5 seconds. That can be annoying, and I always show how to turn that off in an easy way. There is no shortcut on the steering wheel, and there is no dedicated function for it or direct one tap functionality for it, but there is still a simple way. So what you can do is you can use the top banner to put a shortcut to the drive assistance settings. So if you press that one, you will immediately pop that list, and from there you can deactivate the speed warning. So with that approach, it's 2 clicks away to deactivate it. That's still convenient enough. So now deactivated. This range test I do is a stretch of 80 kilometers. It's mixed speeds from 50 all the way up to 110 kilometers per hour. Average speed 93 kilometers per hour. I stick to three main rules. I stick to the speed limits. I always set the AC to 20 degrees Celsius and auto. And I set the dry mode to eco if available. So eco is set. And now I have traveled, let's see, 28 kilometers. And the average consumption until now is 17.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. We'll do another check-in during the trip. Closing into the halfway, 40 kilometers past very soon. And the average consumption is 16.3 kilowatt hours, 0.2 actually, kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, 16.2. That's good. I mean, this is among the most efficient platforms. The MEB platform, the MEB Plus platform is really efficient. And that's well done by Volkswagen or Ford in this case. It is a good platform and it will give you the best possible range. With that numbers, we will actually end up with a good range. But I didn't mention the weather conditions. As you see, it's sunny. Great weather. It's 9 degrees Celsius outside, so it's getting colder here in Sweden. The autumn is on the way, have started actually, but days like this, really nice. Totally dry roads. It did rain a bit, or a lot actually, the last couple of days, so I have been struggling to find the right day to do this range test, because I want to give the car the best possible conditions. And as you know, soaked roads or damp roads will raise or higher the consumption. So totally dry today, not that much of a wind, so good conditions despite being a bit colder. So I think Ford has done a clever job to be able to, introduce new cars to the market. So the Explorer, but also the upcoming Capri is delivered or manufactured by Volkswagen. That's a deal between the two companies here in Europe at least. So the Capri and the Explorer Electric is, not as these cars will not be introduced to the American market, for instance. This is European cars. I'm not even sure they will hit Asia. But it's a good cooperation. It helps Volkswagen to utilize more of their factories, since their volumes are shrinking and their capacity is still the same, so they need to adjust their manufacturing capacity. Maybe this deal will help them to keep the European factories going. I hope so. And the Explorer feels and seems like a good package. We know that the platform is okay, that it is good actually, and if you prefer the looks of the Explorer, it is almost 18 centimeters shorter, so it's a bit more nimble than the ID.4, and doesn't seems like it comes to any downsides. It's still very roomy inside. There is plenty of room in the boot, so it's still a practical car. So let me summarize the final consumption and range. Average consumption 16.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That equals to a total range of 478 kilometers for 100% of the battery pack. That's actually 84% of the stated WLTP range of 572 kilometers. Conditions 8 degrees Celsius and dry roads. Let's move on to the acceleration test. The best possible 0 to 100 time after a couple of runs was 6.1 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, and 5.78 seconds, 0 to 60 miles per hour. That's actually 0.3 seconds better than the specified time from Ford. So Ford is saying 6.4. So that's good. And this is at a state of charge of 80%. So probably, or maybe you will get a bit of a better acceleration at 90 or 95% state of charge. I haven't tried that, but that's a possibility. And despite being rear-wheel drive and slightly damped road, I think it really managed good, and I didn't experience any wheel spins at all, actually. It was really sophisticated and easygoing. I mean, doesn't feel stressed, and it always feels in control. Let's move on to the cabin noise test. I always measure the cabin noise in the same way. So I put the microphone here at the passenger headrest height, and I measure different speeds, 50, 70, 90, and 110 kilometers per hour. And this is the final result. And it's a bit more noisy than I actually expected. It's more noisy than the Volkswagen ID.4. One reason for that, I mean, despite having the same dimensions of the wheels and tires, that one was running on Nokian studless winter tires. Those tires tend to be more silent since they have softer rubber. So it's a bit of an unfair comparison, but the difference was slightly big. So I still assume that the ID.4 is a bit more silent. And I really don't know if they have put in less soundproofing in this one. Most of the noise actually comes from the windows and the door sides. Some of it, of course, from the tires. I mean, 255s at the back creates a bit of a road noise. Compared to other cars like the Mach-E and the Mercedes EQA, those two are also more silent than this one. It's on par with the Volvo EX30 though, so approximately the same cabin noise level. So to the last test, and that's the charging. I preheated the car, driving around half an hour with the manual preconditioning of the battery pack, optimizing it for charging for half an hour. The top speed I achieved, around 11%, was 137 kilowatts. That's 2 kilowatts higher than the stated 135. And the charge curve is impressively flat. I mean, at 60%, it still kept a pace of 120 kilowatts. That's not that far from 135. So it's a very flat curve with some small tap rings during the way. I also felt and saw the thermal management. So at some point, it actually dropped a bit due to overheating the pack. And then I heard the HVAC starting up and start cooling the battery pack. And then it immediately went up to the previous speeds again. Total charge time for charging it 10 to 80% took 28 minutes and 10 seconds. That's right on spec. Because Ford is saying 28 minutes, 10 seconds. That's good. And that's impressive. And what that says is top speed is not the only thing to look at. Even more importantly, you need to look at the charge curve and the ability for the car to keep a high pace all the way up to 80%. And that's what we're seeing here. I mean, it is not the top speed that makes it in this case, it's the flat curve. And without the high end speed, this would be impossible. So I really see that Volkswagen or Ford have worked on flattening out the curve. And I think it's the same thing, at least they state the same thing for the Tavascan I recently tested. And they actually claim the same numbers, and they specifically said that we have flattened out the curve and we have worked hard on keeping a high pace to be able to charge it totally in a shorter time. And they have managed that in a good way. So just try to summarize and wrap everything up. The only thing that disappoints in this test is actually the cabin noise. I was expecting it to be a bit more silent, so I really don't know the reason for it, if it is the tires or if it is less insulation, soundproofing in this car compared to some of the siblings built on the same platform. Not sure. Otherwise, in all other aspects, I think it put out a solid performance. Charging, 28 minutes, that's good. The acceleration, better than spec. Consumption, fairly low. So all in all, a good package. But at the end, it all boils down to what you want. I mean, do you want to be a bit different? Do you want to have a car that's not that common on the market currently? I think this will be a good alternative because the exterior design, the looks, it's a bit more, I would say call it a bit more attractive than the other cars on the market, built on the same platform. Because I think the more unique cars on MEB is the Explorer and the Tavascan for sure, those two cars. And at the end, I think it all boils down to your personal preferences. So which one is your favorite pick between the Ford Explorer, the Volkswagen ID4, the Audi Q4, the Skoda Enyaq, or the Cupra Tavascan? Share your thoughts and let me know in the comments below. What do you think about the Explorer in general? Let us have a discussion. And as I always say, please do not forget to subscribe and like and stay electric. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.